The Treasurer is on a 5-day budget roadshow this week. Jim Chalmers spent the afternoon in Sydney speaking at an event for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, where he touched on what he described as his number one ambition as Treasurer.
If we could get one thing right in the time that I'm the Treasurer, it'd be that energy transformation. I think so much of what we want to achieve together hinges on that in one way or another. I do genuinely believe that the next decade will be a defining decade for us. It will determine whether we were good enough to grab these opportunities or whether or not they went begging.
Let's bring in the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Andrew McKellar, who was the moderator there at the lunch. Andrew McKellar, thanks for your time. What did you think of that top priority for the Treasurer, all about energy and ensuring that transition is a smooth one?
Oh, good afternoon, Kieran. Great to be with you. Look, there's no doubt it is an important priority for business and for the broader economy. Obviously, business is supportive of the objective to get to net zero by 2050, and there has to be a pathway to get there. Now, energy is a huge part of the equation that business is currently battling with, along with households. We've seen rising energy prices, we've seen struggling supply. So I think really getting that transformation right, investing in the generation capacity and the transmission capacity, of course, that's going to be fundamentally important.
How was the Treasurer, first of all, his budget and then his appearance received by your members?
Oh, I think, look, very constructively. I think this is, one of the very positive things. There is strong engagement with the business community. Obviously, we don't agree with government on every single issue. There are issues around workplace relations where we are having a debate and where we will have a debate with the government. But obviously, on a broad range of issues around economic management, I think there's a very good discussion. Obviously, they've taken important steps in helping to repair the budget situation this year. There's a lot more work to be done, and business wants to be part of that equation.
One of the elements that right now is front and centre is the issue of interest rates. Is there a view that the government did enough to try and deal with inflation as well as provide those cost of living efforts during the budget?
It's clear that they're trying to, walk a balanced path. The real test of that will be in the months ahead when we see how the Reserve Bank reacts, when we see whether or not there is any impact on inflation in the months ahead. The economy is very delicately poised at the moment. There are sections of the economy that are really struggling with higher costs, with higher interest rates. So, we've just got to hope that the strategy is successful and that we will be able to keep a lid on future interest rate increases from here.
One of the questions is on wage increases. Your fellow industry group, the Australian Industry Group, has put forward its submission of 3.8%, suggested increase in the minimum wage. The ACCI saying 7%. Where have you landed?
Well, we've put forward a submission 3.5% for this year. Of course, it has to be acknowledged there's an extra 0.5% in the pipeline for the superannuation guarantee from 1 July. So all up, that's a 4% cost for employers. We think that's fair. We think it's reasonable. We think it's consistent with trying to get inflation back into that 2 to 3% target range that the Reserve Bank has set. And I note today that the Commonwealth Government has tabled its offer with its public servants, an increase of 4% for this year, followed by 3.5%, followed by 3%. So I think, honestly, if you look at where they're putting their money, I think it's actually quite consistent with the sort of position that business is advocating.
What sort of impact would a 7% increase have on your members?
It would be, quite a significant cost. Obviously, that's $12.6 billion in extra cost through the supply chain. The companies that can least afford that, small business in particular, 2.4 million small businesses struggling with higher costs at the moment, and it would put many of them through significant hardship. They're struggling with their margins at the moment. In those circumstances, they can't pay themselves a full wage, they can't pay their own superannuation, they have to make hiring decisions. So look, I think really at 7%, that would be putting a lot of pressure on the most vulnerable businesses in the supply chain.
Andrew McKellar, CEO at the Chamber of Commerce, thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.